The Ginetta Championships are coming to their close for 2023 here at Donington Park this weekend. The Grand Prix circuit is the venue, and race 2 for the Protyre Motorsport Ginetta GT Championship is the current focus of attention. This is a new championship for this year, effectively merging the old Ginetta GT Super Cup and the GT5 Championships in one. In other words, you've got a mix of the G56s and the G40s, and the cars are being brought now to the grid, with Luke Reed, the man on pole position, 12 times a race winner this year, already crowned as champion. And with him at the front of the grid is Mackenzie Douglas, who chased hard for the race win yesterday. Callum Davis, it was, who took his first victory of the season yesterday. And there, heading up towards the grid, is Bal Sidhu, who is going to be at the rear of the G56 part of the grid. As far as the G40s are concerned, the so-called GT5s, Luke Garlick really just needs to finish, and he is the champion. As long as he's in the top 5, and there are 6 in the class, then it's his. Whereas Ella Lloyd really needs to be 2 places ahead to keep it alive. But that, I think, is now very unlikely, given that she's had a 10-point championship deduction. She was given a penalty in yesterday's race for contact, and that came with not only a race penalty, but also a 10-point deduction within the championship. So it is very, very unlikely, I think, that Ella Lloyd, despite having had a good season with 9 wins, more than Luke Garlick, who's got 7, has had, then I think it's very unlikely that she's going to be able to keep it going into the last race. And even if that were the case, it would be still Luke Garlick's to lose. However, we'll see what pans out in the race. The door opening there was coming from Will Rochford, who has had 3 victories this season. Had a big off yesterday, went tobogganing down the Craner Curves grass into the old hairpin, damaged the back of the car, not because he hit anything, it's just that it bounced and ripped off bodywork. But the pace car, as it is, leads them away. The formation laps here controlled by a pace car, so that not only do people not go too quickly and risk falling off the road, but they don't go so slowly that it delays the whole timetable of the event. So Luke Reed for Wolf Motorsport is on pole position, and Mackenzie Douglas will be with him at the front of the grid. Callum Davis, then, looking for a second win of the weekend, comes next. And Ruben Haig, who was a bit subdued yesterday, but is 6 times a winner this year, is 4th ahead of Leona Theobald, who stopped on the last lap yesterday. Conor Garlick is next, ahead of Blake Anglis. And then Colin White, who's also been a victor this year. Blake Anglis is 4 times a victor, and he's a man to watch. Then you've got Carl Garnett and Bal Sidhu lining up at the back of the G56 part of the grid. Luke Garlick, the championship leader in the GT5s. For the G40s, the 1800cc cars, is alongside Ella Lloyd, his main rivals. Then it's Sam Harvey and Will Rochford for TCR, Lee Brooks, very familiar team that's been a stalwart Ginetta squad for many years. Then Pablo Jequier and Karim Sekat to round out the grid. Karim Sekat had a spin yesterday, but he's also been a winner in class over the course of the season. It has been a very wet Donington for the bulk of the last 3 or 4 days, with all the heavy rain that's been sweeping the nation. Friday's testing was completely rained off, with so much standing water, tunnels flooded. But today the sun has made an appearance. The road is still damp offline, but it is a bit drier. It's a cold track, so getting temperature into the tyres, the Michelin rubber on which they run, is not easy. And for those in the G40s, perhaps it's a little bit easier to control with less power. 1800cc for the G40s, 3.7 litre G56s. They're at the front of the grid, much quicker cars. And the cars are a GT4 style car. They're not quite to the GT4 spec that you'll see later in the day in the Intelligent Money British GT Championship, but they're not that far adrift, and a really good way of getting people into competitive one-make sports car racing. Lots of power. They're spectacular cars, especially on a greasy circuit. Colin White there in the back of the shop, coming down towards the Melbourne hairpin, the multiple national hot rod champion. You name a title, I think he won it in his long reign in the sport. And the CWS car will be one to watch. He had problems yesterday. He got involved in a bit of a scuffle on the way to the first corner, got onto the grass, picked up a bit of damage, and the race really never came back to him. See, the people in the earlier GB3 race have been off the road and mowed the lawn, bringing it back onto the racetrack. Sam Harvey's on his way up towards Goddard's, and will slot into place at the back of that GT5 grid. 2 separate grids rather than mixing them together, so that you don't have G56s that may have qualified badly terrorising the smaller cars on the run of the first corner, which would not be the safest of things. As soon as number 16 then of Bal Sidhu arrives in place, will be good to go, although down the pit lane comes number 19 Carl Garnett. Now, he had a puncture yesterday, and life is getting no better today, because he's in the pits even before the race gets underway. Last car in place then, Drivers look towards the lighting gantry, and in a moment this 20-minute race is going to be underway. Luke Reed, the champion, then number 26 on pole position. Lights go red, drivers look at the lights blink out, and a good getaway by Reed. Not quite such a good start by Mackenzie Douglas, who drops back in the traffic. Look as they come swarming past him on either side, going down towards Redgate. He's almost been pushed to the back of the queue as Luke Reed leads the way. Callum Davis behind him, and then Ruben Haig, number 6, next up as they now go to the top of the Craner curves. Mackenzie Douglas then drops right back after that pop start. The G40 sextet hard at it further back as the champion, Luke Reed, drops down towards the old hairpin for the first time. Callum Davis gets up the inside, goes onto the wet part of the road, forces Luke Reed off the racetrack. Nothing Luke Reed could do about that. He had to get out of the way, otherwise he'd made contact, and he ends up in the gravel, and lots of the G40s, if not all of the G40s, are off as well, and Luke Reed comes to grief. Now the championship leader is in the gravel as well. Luke Garlick is out of the race, and Luke Reed, the champion in the G56s, looks like he's stuck in the gravel as well. So you had all of that going on, triggered by Callum Davis getting up the inside. Luke Reed, the innocent party in that, he had to steer out of Callum Davis's zealotry, and he's ended up in the gravel and seemingly bogged down. Others are trying to dig themselves out and rejoin as well. But the leaders in the meantime come down now towards the S's for the first time, and waiting to see what race control needs to do to get the part of the circuit, the old hairpin, clear of cars. Ruben Haig on the inside line now, goes for the race lead. Safety car deployed, and Ruben Haig on the inside line just gets up the inside there to move ahead of Conor Garlick. But then there's more mayhem as around goes Callum Davis. So yesterday's winner has certainly made his mark on the first lap of this race, hasn't he? Safety car is deployed, but Luke Reed is off and out. And so is then 71 as the GT5 championship leader, Luke Garlick. Now that wasn't in the game plan whatsoever. That now suddenly gives Ella Lloyd a chance to gain some points out of all of this. And she was ahead in the class, I think, when they came up towards the timing line. Or was she? Let's see. No, dropped back a little bit to third indeed. So who does that put into the lead of the GT5? Sam Harvey ahead of Will Rochford. Ella Lloyd third. So she'll bunch up with the rest on the restart, but then has work to do to get through the traffic. So it could be a couple of laps behind the safety car. And a very nonplussed Luke Reed, I think, waits to see Callum Davis come through and may just have an opinion. But it will not be a favourable one, that is for sure. But Callum Davis made that move, couldn't slow the car down, and Luke Reed had an option. He either turned out of the corner, otherwise there would be contact, and as a result of doing the right thing to avoid an accident, has ended up out of the race, bogged down in the gravel. So here's a replay of the start. You see Mackenzie Douglas, number 24, got bogged down, so there are cars swarming all around him on the run down towards Redgate. Luke Reed at this point is okay in the lead of the race. Callum Davis on the inside of Ruben Haig goes through, up into second place. So far, so good. They got round Redgate. This is Mackenzie Douglas. The car, just as he tried to accelerate away, just got bogged down. And you see everybody come streaming past, left and right, so he's elbowed to the back of the G56 battle pack as they get into Redgate. Onto the top of the Craner curves, the Fox Motorsport car looking to try to gain ground. Well, he was able to gain ground, as you see the G40s, Karim Sakat then on the outside of Pablo Jequier. Ella Lloyd going for the class lead, and rubs against Luke Garlick. And then others have their own incidents, and there were two going on at the same time. Ella Lloyd having one drama with Luke Garlick, and then off the road also go in number 10, Karim Sakat. Pablo Jequier, what we haven't seen out of that was Callum Davis's move against Luke Reed, but he then got turned around by Mackenzie Douglas at the end of the lap. Safety car on track. So lots of them in the pit lane with their damage. New tyre going on the G40s, and the danger of course here is that those cars in the pits are going to drop off the lead lap. So there are two of the drivers involved in different incidents on the first lap. Callum Davis ahead of Ella Lloyd, so another lap under the safety car will be completed. Ruben Haig is the on the road race leader. Right, so here is the move once again. You've got at the head of the queue as they come down through the Craner curves Luke Reed. Callum Davis lines up for a go on the inside, makes that move, can't slow the car down in time, and Luke Reed has to turn out of it, otherwise there'll be an accident, but doesn't have the momentum to get through the gravel. And eventually the car bogs down. That's what was happening behind. Ella Lloyd finishing her own moment. In the gravel, Luke Garlick. The other two flee the scene as well. But the car of Luke Reed stuck in the gravel and is part of the reason that we have that safety car now on the circuit, because of course the other reason is that we need Luke Garlick out of harm's way as well. So Luke Reed, happy that he's already won the championship, but very frustrated. I mean, yeah, Callum Davis just about made the corner, but Luke Reed, the innocent part in all of that. Luke Garlick arrives after contact with Ella Lloyd. Jecrier and Seca have their own incident and even hit each other in the gravel. And now there's gravel all over the road as cars have been tugged out of it. So the racetrack looking ever more messy. And surely that's going to need a bit of sweeping before the cars are allowed to go racing again, because anybody that touches that gravel could well find themselves in another spin. Anyway, they've gone through. Luke Reed is out of the race. The car is now behind the barrier, and the circuit looking decidedly messy down at the old hairpin. All of this, of course, eats into the 20 minutes. And this is Mackenzie Douglas after that duff start, trying to get himself back up through the traffic. Bal Sidhu is the driver ahead. Bal Sidhu, who was sixth in yesterday's race. Ruben Haig was very subdued yesterday, fifth he was, but he leads at the moment. So much better start, much better qualifying effort as well. Pace car, safety car as it is, comes down towards the S's. Plenty of weaving around going on here for the drivers to keep the warmth in the tyres, keep the tyre pressures up as well, ready for the restart. Riding with Sam Harvey, who has yet to score a victory within the GT5 element, the G40 class, but he could be on for one here because most of the opposition is self-destructive. Ella Lloyd needs to try and get on with the hard yards on the restart if possible, and so we are potentially about to get racing back underway. If Ella Lloyd finishes, the GT5 title will go down to the last race, courtesy of Luke Garlick being in the gravel. So having said all he had to do was finish, he didn't even finish the first lap. But whether anything is done because of the contact between Garlick and Lloyd, time will tell. So the cars now are about to get racing back underway then. We are with 12.5 minutes, give or take, on the clock. There is Ella Lloyd at the back of the queue. Callum Davis, who triggered some of the dramas down at the old hairpin, recovering after his Melbourne hairpin spin as well. One to watch as the green flags wave. Ruben Haig then leads across the line. Conor Garlick, adding spice to all of this, is in second spot. Third is Colin White. Fourth then is Blake Anglis. And there Callum Davis moves through then, clears the GT5 traffic, gets ahead of the 1800cc G40s and is now on a mission. So let's see what the blue car that won yesterday can do to catch up to the race leaders, as Ruben Haig it is who leads down towards the old hairpin. An effort being made there on the inside line look by Bal Sidhu to try to gain a place, and he's under attack from Mackenzie Douglas as they come out of the corner. Side by side they run on the outside line at Schwanzkirch. The inside line for McLean's is Mackenzie Douglas. The car wags its tail under braking, but the left-hand drive G56 goes through, then up on the inside line, takes the place as Ruben Haig leads through Coppice Corner, trying to steer clear of all of the gravel that's been dropped on the road. There you've got the GT5 battle, and it is still just Sam Harvey ahead, but Ella Lloyd then in third, hanging on to position, making sure that championship goes down to the wire, and more places gained would stand her in better stead for the last race as well. Colin White under attack as they come into the S's. Right on his tail is Blake Anglis. Colin White having a much, much better run than he did yesterday. Side by side for the race lead. Ruben Haig on the inside line, Conor Garlick on the outside line, trying to uphold some honour for the family with Luke in the gravel, but he's going to get run out wide there. But standing his ground on the outside line gives him the inside now for Goddard's. So Ruben Haig did lead. Conor Garlick breaks late, gets up on the inside line. They're still side by side all the way through the corner. Ruben Haig needs to try to get himself back on the inside line for Redgate, but he can't do it. He slots in behind as they come over the line, and straight away Conor Garlick moves across a little bit to go defensive. Haig to the outside line as they head into Redgate. Colin White right there behind them in third place, 0.6 of a second back as they go now down through Redgate corner once more then. To the inside line, Ruben Haig, and now into Hollywood. Colin White's last lap, not quite as quick as the two ahead of him. Next through, you've got the GT5 battle, where once more we have the car of Sam Harvey ahead, as out wide over the gravel onto the curb goes Conor Garlick, and right there behind is Ruben Haig looking for his lead back, and he's going to go through at Schwantz curve, so he's ahead by the time they reach the right-hander of McLean's corner. Through they turn now, so the cars accelerate onto the double apex right of Coppice, head up the hill. Colin White under attack from Blake Anglis then as they turn their way through that long right-hander down towards the S's once more they come, and as they do so, Colin White, Blake Anglis and then the recovering Mackenzie Douglas running together, heading into the braking zone once more now. Colin White once more down towards the hairpin, and hoping that these two behind delay themselves by scrapping. Haig back on the inside as Garlick is on the outside line. Now what's going on in the GT5s is that Ella Lloyd is up into second place and going for the class win here against Sam Harvey. Nose to tail they flick out of the S's. Only 9 minutes on the clock now as they come down towards the Melbourne hairpin. Lloyd is in second spot but looking to make a move. Sam Harvey looking for a maiden class win, and Ella Lloyd needing every possible point out of this, especially if lap one is going to end up being discussed in the stewards' room. The overall race leaders have arrived at Redgate side by side, and here for the GT5 class lead nose to tail. There are the G56s. Ruben Haig just ahead of Conor Garlick, left out of Hollywood. Through the Craner curves they come, into the right of the old hairpin. 6 from 63, Haig from Garlick, and Colin White still 0.6 of a second behind, but not quite able to get onto the back of the top two. In fourth place, Blake Anglis, and then in fifth spot, Mackenzie Douglas trying to recover after that duff start as they come into McLean's now. Through the right, head up the hill. Douglas looking to try to unsettle Anglis. Ruben Haig hanging on to the advantage despite Conor Garlick's best efforts. 8 more minutes on the clock. Down they come. Last time around, Ruben Haig set the fastest lap, although Colin White this time has done the absolute best in the first sector, but he loses a little bit of ground in the second sector. Sam Harvey, in the meantime, has pulled a length also clear now of Ella Lloyd, who is under attack from Will Rochford. So 3 times a winner Rochford, 9 times a winner Ella Lloyd, chasing, yet to win, Sam Harvey. Now, Colin White, third, has got his mirrors full again of Blake Anglis. So for third, fourth and fifth, they make that run up towards Goddard's. Colin White ahead, but for how much longer? Anglis lines up for a move under braking, goes through on the inside, forces Colin White a little bit wide, and that now means that back up the inside as well comes Mackenzie Douglas. Up towards the line they come. Once more in towards Redgate corner. Onto the top of the Craner curves, heading now down through the right of Hollywood. Colin White, having lost one place, could lose another one, because right up with him as they come down through the Craner curves is Mackenzie Douglas. He's got the inside line and he goes through. So Colin White from third falls to fifth in the space really of about 3 corners. Once more up towards the right of McLean's they come. Heading now towards Coppice, and Ruben Haig back into the race lead, looking strong up front. Meantime, within the GT5 class, Sam Harvey doing his best to edge away just a little bit now as they come once more down towards the old hairpin. Ella Lloyd still second. They're getting past on an outlap there the car of Pablo Jequier, that's just rejoined the race. They're going at a rather reduced pace. So the cars go through, and once more it is Sam Harvey clearing the lead. Up towards Coppice, Ella Lloyd fending off the challenge of Will Rochford, and then in third spot in the class, Pablo Jequier. So the race leaders are nose to tail. They come now onto the pit straight once more, and Haig versus Garlick, and last time it was Conor Garlick that did the fastest lap of the race, so only a 1/5 of a second between them. What have we got on the clock? Less than 6 minutes. Ruben Haig having to make that car really wide now, having to go defensive, but I just wonder whether Blake Anglis in third place might be able to close on them, especially if they hold each other up like this. Callum Davis, the winner yesterday, is still charging along behind in 6th place, but not really closing sufficiently on Colin White. Ruben Haig down towards the old hairpin once more, goes right, rides the curbs. A And now they come through Schrott's curve up towards McLean's corner. The road climbing from this point on all the way up towards Coppice. We are getting driving standards flags, and Mackenzie Douglas there in the white car in 4th place, and black and white for track limit offences. So after that, penalties start to come, so he needs to be careful. Once more out of Coppice, down now towards the S's. So you've got Blake Anglis just ahead, and another one about to be given a track limit flag is Conor Garlick, the man in 2nd place. Douglas pulls out of the draft and pulls back in again onto the Grand Prix loop. Ruben Haig throws the car over the curve, and now Douglas has got the run on the inside line, or has he? Blake Anglis just able to edge across and defend, but in doing so puts himself on the wetter part of the road. He's still able to defend into the hairpin, but Douglas wide in, needs to be tight out, but he doesn't get the drive off the corner. Has he got a problem? He has. He's in neutral. He's got no gear. The car's gone into neutral, and unable to find a gear seemingly is Mackenzie Douglas. So having been right on the tail of the 3rd place car, he goes down through the gears into the Melbourne hairpin, and the gears disappear on him. So the car is in neutral, he can't find a gear to drive out the other side, and Mackenzie Douglas crawls through the hairpin, and if he can get as far as pit in, that'll be his race done. But he's coasting up the hill as the leaders then, with 4 minutes to go, turn out of Redgate. And that is the end of the race. Mackenzie Douglas parks it. No gears equals no drive, equals no points. The car stationary, and so from 4th place to retirement with just under 4 minutes to go. Here are the race leaders then. It is still Ruben Haig who is clear in the Breckle racing car. Yellow flag to say a parked car is ahead of the G40s here, where you've got Sam Harvey ahead of Ella Lloyd, ahead of Will Rochford. Will Rochford is quick through Goddard's, right back onto the tail of Ella Lloyd, who needs to win this, really, to go into the last round with as good a chance as she can possibly have of winning the championship within the G40 category. But Sam Harvey having a really good race here, despite all the pressure, could be on for a maiden win. Flicks right now, out of Redgate. It'd be great to have more of the G40s back on track next year. They delivered, as ever, good racing this season. But it's a shame that we haven't had more of them. Many of the cars, I think, found homes elsewhere rather than be a subsidiary class in this championship. But the stalwarts that have supported the championship have done themselves proud. Out of the old hairpin comes Sam Harvey. These cars are still on the lead lap. They might drop off the lead lap before the very end. But the way that they're going suggests that Ruben Haig is not going to have to worry about too many slower cars. Leading G56 in the meantime is coming onto the pit straight, heading into Coppice. Sam Harvey just ahead of Ella Lloyd, just ahead of Will Rochford. The leaders go by into Redgate with 2.5 on the clock. Sam Harvey still trying to edge away here for 2nd and 3rd. Lloyd just ahead as they come down towards the S's once more. Rochford tries the inside, but there's no way through. Tries the outside, and of course the inside line all the way down to the S's. Slightly in the shade anyway, so it's not drying out as quickly as the racing line, which is the wider line on the road. And even now, with this being what, the 4th track activity of the day, still the road is damp after the amount of rain that we've had over the last few days, and yet more of it overnight. So out of the Melbourne hairpin comes the class-leading Sam Harvey, and up towards Goddard's. Now the race leaders are going to, I would offer you, start their last lap this time around. These cars then have got 2 more to go. And Harvey is clearing Lloyd now, most definitely, because Will Rochford is on the back of number 28. Ella Lloyd trying to defend, doing so, but in so doing is enabling Sam Harvey to escape up the road then. There he is, the class-leading Sam Harvey goes right into Redgate corner. The Zentek Motorsport car ahead of Ella Lloyd, his teammate, and then Will Rochford in the TCR entry, Lee Brooks' team. Lee, former touring car racer in the super touring era. His father, John Brooks, a very rapid Midlands hot rod racer in the 70s, early 80s. TCR car in 3rd place. Here are the overall leaders through the traffic, just negotiating the G40 there, as it is still Ruben Haig just ahead. They get up past Pablo Jequier and will come through now with less than a lap time left in the race onto the last lap. So it's now or never for Conor Garlick, who needs to be careful. He's already had that last warning of the driving standards flag for track limit offences. He comes out of Redgate corner, absolutely on the tail of Ruben Haig, who might not be as quick, but he's certainly knowing how to defend. Puts the car in the middle of the road, so there's nowhere for Garlick to go, neither left nor right, and they plunge down the hill once again. Garlick has tried everything he can to unsettle Ruben Haig, but to no avail. And now he's being given a 5-second penalty. Conor Garlick in 2nd place gets a 5-second penalty for track limit offences. So even if he gets past Ruben Haig, that will not necessarily change the situation. Ruben Haig could afford to let him go, but he won't get the message, I don't think. So he's going to have to keep on defending as up the hill they go, almost together. So Ruben Haig ahead, but those 5 seconds are really going to hurt Conor Garlick, because he's going to fall to certainly 4th place, maybe even worse. And almost as though he just got the message as well, and his heart's gone out of it. He's dropped back from Ruben Haig around the last couple of corners. That middle sector, he lost very nearly a second to Ruben Haig. Onto the last lap goes Sam Harvey, heading finally for a win in the G40 class ahead of Ella Lloyd, as the outright leaders in the G56s come once more down into the Melbourne hairpin here. So Ruben Haig from the 2nd row of the grid, looking for win number 7 in what was certainly a lively start to the race, with cars going all over the road at the old hairpin. And of the survivors, Ruben Haig comes through then on target for race victory here. Checkered flag at the ready, and the penultimate round of the Protyre Motorsport Ginetta GT Championship is won by Ruben Haig. 2nd over the line is Conor Garlick, but it's going to be Blake Anglis who inherits it, and Colin White will take 3rd. Callum Davis is next, and he will be 5th behind Conor Garlick. So Garlick does drop to 4th. Right, in the G40s, Sam Harvey heading for the class win. Ella Lloyd with the flapping bodywork comes through just ahead of Will Rochford. But remember, there was contact between Lloyd and Luke Garlick at the start of the race. Now, whether that is going to lead to anything, time will tell. But right now, she's a bit busy trying to keep Will Rochford at bay, all of which is enabling Sam Harvey to pull clear. They flick through the chicane, and Ella Lloyd, who had a spin in yesterday's race, comes then towards the Melbourne hairpin now. 2 corners to go, and the fight for 2nd in class is still not done. Will Rochford darting left and right in the mirrors, trying to unsettle Ella Lloyd, trying to find a gap possibly. He's got one last opportunity, which is the inside line heading into Goddard's. He's in the wheel track, he makes the move on the inside. Ella Lloyd moves across and covers it. To the outside line goes Rochford. Lloyd's going to cover that off as well. Round the outside goes Rochford. He's going to run out of road, and so Ella Lloyd ends up with a slightly bigger gap for 2nd place. So useful points scored then, and the GT5 class for the G40 model will go into the last round of the championship. But a delighted Sam Harvey has finally done it, a class win in the G40s. So Sam Harvey celebrates, as does this man, Ruben Haig, who is the man then who has taken the outright victory. He wins in the G56s, the faster cars, these 3.7 litre Ford V6 engine cars, and a very happy Ruben Haig under race-long pressure from Conor Garlick. And Conor with that 5-second penalty falling to 4th place. So that's Blake Anglis to 2nd. And a very, very happy Sam Harvey celebrating honours within the GT5s. Cars making their way on the in-lap to scrutineering, and big frustration you can see in the background for Mackenzie Douglas. That car stranded after just running out of gears coming through the Melbourne hairpin. So the race winner is Ruben Haig, and for him the winning margin 2.2 seconds with the penalties applied to Conor Garlick behind him. Race 2 of the weekend in the Protyre Motorsport Ginetta GT Championship. A win for Ruben Haig ahead of Blake Anglis, and Colin White 3rd. With a 5-second penalty, Conor Garlick pushed down to 4th, Callum Davis 5th after a moment on the opening lap at the old hairpin, and then a spin at the Melbourne hairpin. Balsidhu 6th ahead of Leona Theobald, and then 8th, a maiden class win in the G40 section of the race for Sam Harvey ahead of Ella Lloyd, who is still in with a chance of winning that class in the championship. Will Rochford 3rd in the G40 class. We lost Mackenzie Douglas, a long pit stop for Pablo Jequier, Karim Sekat, Carl Garnett never started. We lost Luke Reed and Luke Garlick as well. A look at the best bits of that race then, which meant that a good start by Luke Reed in the end would come to nothing. Although Ruben Haig made a good start, Callum Davis was the man on Luke Reed's tail as they went down towards the opening corner. Turned their way onto the top of the Craner curves, and then accelerated down towards the old hairpin, where Callum Davis made a big dive on the inside. Luke Reed had to turn out of the corner to avoid contact, and as a consequence ended up getting stuck in the gravel. Callum Davis himself was then tagged around at the Melbourne hairpin. He got involved with Mackenzie Douglas, who carried on until he ran out of gears, but the safety car was deployed. That bunched them all up, Davis had a chance to recover, but didn't really have the pace on the restart as it became a race-long battle between Ruben Haig and Conor Garlick, who oh so briefly got the lead at Goddard's. Ruben Haig fought back, but Garlick ultimately, with a 5-second penalty for track limit offences, fell to 4th place. Ruben Haig coming through as the race winner. Colin White ran 3rd early on, but then he got mugged as well and fell down through the order. The race leaders spent most of the race nose to tail, but with constant excesses of the track, so the penalty was applied to Conor Garlick and back he fell. And that gave Blake Anglis 2nd place. Colin White promoted to 3rd, and this was the demise of Mackenzie Douglas. Quite literally a box full of neutrals as he came out of the Melbourne hairpin, and a hugely frustrated driver. Ruben Haig then would win for the 7th time this year in the G56s, and Sam Harvey would score a maiden win in the G40 class within the GT5s, setting us up nicely for the last round of the championship coming up later in the day.